So that was the last frame that we had just completed, and now I'm going to show you how that was done in this position over here. But first off, we're going to remove these frames here. Now these were the original major frames that were bolted to the floor timbers, and I've already cut it up in sections and had it out of there. But what I'm going to do here now is just unclamp this clamp, and I'm going to just show you this damage. Now here's a steel bolt that was in it here, and you can see the crack right in here. This piece is obviously already missing, so it isn't doing anything. It isn't bolted to the floor timber any longer, so that's the reason for replacement. Now, I just want to show you this little section right here. This is a section where it's like a little step scarf in here that scarfed the top section onto the bottom section. So those are sawn frames, and they're sawn to bevel, progressive bevel in a bandsaw, just the way I do it here. So I'm going to apply a little bit of varnish to the planking here. I've scraped it up and sanded it a little bit, and this whole boat was varnished on the inside original, so this is nothing new here. But I just don't want any of the glue that we laminate this frame down with to get up on the planking, because it's not going to be glued in, it's just going to be glued together. Okay, what we're doing here now is fastening this laminated frame down into position, and Lance has drilled a hole up through the old holes where the old frame were, up through the laminated pile, and then what I'm going to do is drive this screw with washers on it down through the same hole. Now it won't have any holding power in the planking whatsoever, but it protrudes out past the planking. So once it comes out past the planking, we put a block of wood on it like a nut and fasten this into the block, and it squashes the laminate pile right down nice and just distributes all the glue between the laminates, and that's how we get it nice and tight. Good. This is the last frame that we installed right here that's completed, and we've backed out all the fastenings and scraped most of it up. There's a little bit more scraping to do up the very head and some screws to remove, but I've cleaned up the whole heel end of it. That one's complete, and at this point we've put one more in on the other side. Now the one on the other side we had to do a little bit differently because it wasn't available for me to put the screws in from the inside with all this cabinet work in the way. So what we did was, just so we wouldn't have to fight with it, we put the beveled base down first by itself and fastened it through from the outside with sheetrock screws, and then snapped them off so that they wouldn't be sticking up past that laminate. And so that one was applied as one piece, and then we put the laminate pile in on top of it separately and fastened right up through the whole laminate pile. So the screws came in from the outside, and I put the blocks on from the inside, and that's basically the only difference. It was put in layers and not all at the same time, and also the fastenings came from the other direction. So here are the heel ends of the two laminated frames that we put in, and these are under the mast step. And when we clamped them in place, we used the floor timber to pull them up against so that the laminates would all line up nice and neatly. And I've cut one vertical cut in it here that lines up with the cut in this floor timber that accepts the 4-foot to slide in. And now I'm going to cut this frame off on a vertical line that I've drawn on it that lines up with this cutout for the 4-foot to slide between the floor timbers. And I'm going to remove this floor timber to do it, like this. Get that out of the way. Just like that. So the next thing we're going to do is reproduce this floor timber. Now this floor timber is the one that's at the very forward end of the mast step. The mast step sits in this slot and it goes in this way. It was originally bolted in there with steel bolts in these holes, and there's quite a bit of deterioration in it, so we're going to replace every floor timber in the boat that's got steel in it like this, and that's our next move. And it's going to just go into the boat like this and then be bolted against the frames right here with brand new bronze bolts, and then the 4-foot will be slid in between.